Hello and welcome to In the Kitchen with Mary Mac. Today's classic recipe is beef on Weck. With all of the talk of the NFL playoffs in the past few weeks, one of the big things that happens with sports announcers in the NFL is they try to find something interesting in the city that they're going to talk about during the broadcast. Western Pennsylvania and Western New York, all of the focus seems to be on sandwiches. So it stands to reason that they would have to find a sandwich in Buffalo to talk about because there's nothing else interesting in Buffalo to the NFL announcers, which is ridiculous. So they have been all over the classic Western New York sandwich, beef on Weck. If you've never had one, if you've never traveled through Western New York, particularly the Buffalo area, just about every restaurant has a beef on Weck sandwich. It's basically like a Kaiser roll or a regular white bread roll, not a brioche bun, which I guess they call everything brioche anymore, but brioche is more like a rich, buttery kind of a bun. This isn't that. This is just a regular old white bread bun that has salt and caraway seeds on the top of it, like sprinkled on top of it. And then the sandwich itself is roast beef. Well, the ones that I've had both of the ways that you can do this. I have had the regular beef roast sliced down beef on Weck sandwich, and then I've had really good quality roast beef lunch meat beef on Weck sandwich, I liked it better myself. And then there's horseradish sauce on that. It's a very basic kind of a sandwich. There's no cheese on it. There's no vegetables on it. It's just roast beef, a creamy horseradish sauce on these type of buns. I don't know, it's not like over the top, it's not super fancy or anything, but it is very good. It's always served with a little cup of beef broth with it. It's kind of like a French dip sandwich, but the bread isn't like that real hard, crispy type of bread. It's the kind of a sandwich that you want to have a beer with. They're usually served with potato chips or French fries. And like I said, they're very popular in Western New York. The first time I had one was in Jamestown, New York, at a brewery. We'd stopped in Jamestown to visit the National Comedy Museum, which is awesome. If you ever get the chance to go, I highly recommend it. Jamestown, New York is a nice little town, home of Lucille Ball. So you can go and see Lucille Ball stuff, like the 2 Lucille Ball statues that are in a park there. One of them is really a great statue, and the other one is questionable. And then you can go, if you're the sort of person that does this, you can go to Lucille Ball's burial place, which I am the sort of person that does that, so I did. And there's a couple of good museums in town. There's a Lucille Ball museum that has a lot of memorabilia from her career. So it's a really neat place to go. But anyway, we went to a brewery and they had this sandwich, and I had seen it a couple times on different menus and stuff, but I hadn't had one. And I thought, I'm just going to try this and see how it is. And it was really, really good. It's a classic sandwich. It comes from the late 1800s in Western New York. Apparently, a German baker by the name of William Warr, who apparently had immigrated to Buffalo, brought this Weck roll with him. He partnered with a local, I don't know what they would call them in those days, bar, I guess, that was on the lake.
Maybe like a pub or a tavern?
Yeah, a tavern. I would say probably a tavern. And they made these sandwiches with this bun. Like I said, it's just a sandwich roll with salt and caraway seeds, and it's nice and soft inside. And what I would classify this as is a daily bread, which is like what my bread is and my bread mixes are. It's a regular daily bread. It has flour, salt, sugar, water, and yeast. It's nothing fancy. It's just a regular daily bread. And then you make the buns. You brush the tops of them with a beaten egg white, and you sprinkle salt on top, and then you sprinkle them with caraway seeds, and then you bake them for them to set. And you bake the buns until they're nice and brown, and poof, you have a Weck roll. We're not going to go to all that trouble, because I found some great recipes for these, and I found some great shortcut recipes for these. People that come from Western New York that have moved away, the options they have are make the buns yourself, or order them, and it's very expensive to ship them, or this little trick. And that's what we're going to do in our recipe. We're using all of the tricks The simplicity of this recipe is phenomenal. It comes together easily, and if you want to support the Buffalo Bills at any point in your life and have a Weck bun with roast beef on it, this is what you do. So here we go with the recipe. First of all, you're going to need 4 Kaiser rolls or 8 Kaiser rolls. They usually come in packs of 8. We're going to give the recipe towards 4 sandwiches, so you can double it for 8 sandwiches. So you'll need 4 Kaiser rolls. You'll need about 1.5 pounds of roast beef, 14 to 16 ounce can of either beef consommé, which is virtually impossible to find anymore, or a really good quality beef broth. And I mean one that's got like slow roasted vegetables and stuff in it. I think it's called Kitchen Chef, makes a beef broth, and it was really good. So you need a nice hearty beef broth, and you need the ingredients to make the creamy horseradish sauce, which I will get to as we go along. And I was pretty happy because I was able to find something else to use my Worcestershire sauce in. Ha! So there we go. Okay, so first we're going to prep the Kaiser rolls, and then we're going to work on the roast beef filling, and then we're going to work on the horseradish sauce. So here we go. You'll need 1 egg white, lightly beaten, with 1 teaspoon of water added to it. You'll need about a teaspoon of coarse salt, like kosher salt. You can also use like coarse flaked sea salt. And then you'll need a teaspoon of caraway seeds or so. Then you're going to need your 4 Kaiser rolls. And if you'll take a baking sheet, like a quarter sheet, put a piece of parchment paper on it, set your Kaiser rolls on there, preheat your oven to 400 degrees, and then you're going to take your egg, beat your egg with water in it, and brush the top of the buns with your egg wash. Then you're going to first sprinkle salt on all of your buns, and then you're going to sprinkle caraway seeds on all of your buns. Now you're going to bake those for 4 to 5 minutes to set that salt and seeds on there, and your buns are ready. Now what I did, I sliced my Kaiser rolls first, because I thought I don't want to try and slice them after I put my salt and caraway seeds on them. It worked perfectly. They really did look great. For the roast beef, you're going to need 1.5 pounds of deli-style sliced roast beef. Have them slice it a little thicker than normal. You don't want it shaved and you don't want it thin. You want to have about 2 to 3 slices of roast beef per sandwich or more. And you want to have that ready. Have your beef broth or consommé in a 1-quart saucepan, and you want to start warming that up. You don't want it to boil, just warm it to a simmer. Once you have that broth at a simmer, take your deli sliced roast beef 1 slice at a time and just settle it down into that broth, so it kind of folds back and forth and, like a TV commercial for roast beef. You just want to slide it right in there. And if you're going to do all 4 sandwiches, you'll need to put 10 to 12 slices of roast beef into that broth. So just very carefully, 1 slice at a time, put it in there so it's separated and it all gets to be coated in broth. Now this only needs to heat up for like 2, 3, 4 minutes, not very long. You just want to warm that roast beef up. So you could kind of do this like start your roast beef, put your buns in the oven so things are kind of happening at the same time. And you could make your creamy horseradish sauce ahead of time. So here's how you make that. You need some prepared horseradish. If you can't find prepared horseradish, you can find horseradish sauce that has very few ingredients in it, which is what I did. And then I used it to make this horseradish sauce. And believe me, it was strong. It was like, I don't know if you've ever eaten horseradish, but it does something to your nose. It feels like your flames are coming out of your nose, I guess would be. So the sauce I made, that it was warm, okay? So here's the recipe for the horseradish sauce. And this was really good. I love this. This was really good. You don't want to just put prepared horseradish on this sandwich. I've seen some people do that, and I'm sure that's probably one of the styles of having this in Buffalo. There's a few little different takes on it. But the sandwiches I had always had like a sauce on it. It was a very flavorful sauce. You could definitely get the horseradish in it, but it was always a flavorful, kind of a creamy, light-colored horseradish sauce. So here we go. You need 6 tablespoons of mayonnaise, 2 tablespoons of prepared horseradish, or like I said, a horseradish sauce with very few ingredients, 2 tablespoons of sour cream, a half teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, a half teaspoon of garlic powder, and an eighth teaspoon of pepper. Mix this up really well and just put it in a container and put it in the refrigerator until you're ready for your sandwiches. Another thing I would suggest is that you find a really good potato chip from Western New York and some really good beer from Western New York, or like Lake Erie Brewing or something like that. Some good quality craft beer to prep for eating this sandwich. So what you want to do is take your Kaiser roll, open it up, and you want to put a nice amount, good solid coating of the creamy horseradish sauce on the bottom bun. And then pile your roast beef on there. 2 or 3 slices, 4 slices per sandwich. If you do about 4 ounces per sandwich, that works well. Okay, and just pile it on there. You can put more horseradish on top. I did not. I like it on the bottom, so do whatever you want there. Put your sandwich together, and then pour some of that broth that you heated up the beef in into a little cup for dipping your sandwich in. And it is delicious. The broth really took on flavor from the roast beef. It's perfect to warm the roast beef up in the broth also. It worked really nicely. I usually do French fries with it, and it was good. It's really good. So this is a very easy sandwich, a very nice way to celebrate Western New York. And this is a classic. This sandwich is like 150 years old. I mean, I was really kind of surprised. I didn't realize that this had been around that long, but this is like the classic Western New York food. Probably a lot of people think like buffalo wings, which are also a classic in Western New York. But I'm telling you, beef on Weck is on every menu. I kind of went the long way through Western New York and the long and scenic route, which I love to do. And I had a lot of beef on Weck sandwiches. And they were all very good. So this is a nice, quick, easy sandwich if you want to try it, and comes together really nicely. And you don't have to roast beef. You don't have to bake buns. You don't have to go to a lot of trouble, put together a nice dinner for yourself. So too bad Buffalo's out of the playoffs, but still a good sandwich.
And make sure to check us out online on Facebook and Threads at Mary Mac Bakehouse, on Instagram at Mary Mac Bakehouse and Mary Mac Podcast, and on our website, marymacpodcast.com.
Thanks a lot for listening if you did, and if you didn't, too bad for you.